Name is Shabda, so this is my PCR video. By the way, if you hear purring in the background, I have a cat, and he's in my room because he kept meowing at the door, and my parents were trying to sleep. If I didn't let him in, he would keep meowing, but that's beside the point. Anyway, if I kind of like choke up, also my throat is hurting from talking, I guess. Anyway, once again, beside the point. So PCR. PCR, this is that video. Oh, okay. PCR stands for polymerase chain reaction. The purpose of this is to um, create copies of a specific segment of DNA that could be used for many different things. Like this is if you're wanting to make a bunch of copies to try a bunch of different things. That's what doing this would be used for. And in simple terms, that making copies and all that is amplifying. So if you wanted to put the purpose of PCR into simple terms, it would be amplifying DNA. So I wanted to show you my little drawing representation of this process. So let's make it close enough. So this section right there represents the DNA strand that you are um, pulling this sequence from. And then this little section that says sequence is the specific segment of the DNA that you're wanting to look at and make copies of for whatever it may be. This could be fingerprinting, it could be, a multitude of lab procedures, it could be testing for genetic disorders, list goes on. So these lines that are drawn down right there, those are representing that the section that says sequence is being amplified, like as in blown up, like these two lines right here are what that is, just close up. So that represents the sequence in red, and then this is just the segment of DNA that we are working with and talking about in the process of PCR. Okay, now that we've done that, so there are three main steps in PCR. First one is denaturing. The second one is annealing. And the third one is extending. So let's start off with denaturing. So first step to PCR is you have to heat the DNA up to around 95 degrees Celsius to allow the DNA to denature or separate. That's what denaturing is. And this breaks the hydrogen bonds within the DNA. So like I said, that's phase one, or kind of like the big main step one of PCR. Then you move on to step two, which is cooling down the DNA to around 60 degrees Celsius. This allows for primers to attach to the ends of the DNA, and this is called annealing. So I'm going to represent it on my little drawing here. Really quick. And the primers attach to the ends of the DNA strands, just like that. So that's what happens when you cool it down or you're annealing it. Next step is you have to heat the DNA up to 72 degrees Celsius, around 72 degrees Celsius, and this allows for the DNA polymerase. Excuse me. Sorry. This allows for DNA polymerase to come in and attach to those primers and to allow for copies to be made of the templates of the DNA themselves. And this process is repeated like 30 to 40 times, I believe. 30 to 40 times to create millions and millions of copies that can be used, like I said before, for a multitude of lab procedures. So basically it gives you a wide, or not a wide range, but a, what is that word? A lot to work with, basically. A lot of the, or they're not different though, a lot of the same DNA to work with for different things, to test a lot of different things on, which is awesome. So, the last thing to know about PCR is how to determine how many copies of the DNA you will have in the end. And to do that, you use a math formula of, you take the number of DNA strands you started off with and raise it to the power of however many cycles you do. So let's say you started off with 2 strands and you do it for 50 times, 50 cycles. You repeat the PCR process that I was just talking about 50 times. You would take 2 and raise it to the power of 50, and that would be the number you have. I'm sorry, my cat. I'll show you my cat. There. He had to come in. So anyway, he's trying to pester me. But anyway, that's PCR, and yeah, thank you. Bye.